Welcome officially to today's Lunch and Learn. This one is really special because we're introducing you to Haven Collective's first partner co-working space. For those of you who don't know, I'm Danielle Lim, and along with Melissa Blackburn, who's in one of your other cameras, she's my business partner, and we created Haven Collective a little over 7 years ago in Columbus. We have two spaces now, one in downtown and one in Upper Arlington. And our community has really blossomed over the years within our spaces. You know, this community, they're really one of a kind. They're very creative, they're kind, they're energetic, and we are so thrilled to see this community grow as we bring WillWork into our ranks. So to share more about this project and the space, we're welcoming Sarah Mackert. You are the visionary behind WillWork, but you're also the founder of SJM Studio, a licensed architect for, I read, over 19 years. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And her passion for design that enhances the human experience is really perfect for this incredible project. So, with that, I'm handing it over to Sarah. Welcome and tell us everything.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Danielle. I'm excited to present a little bit of the history of, I guess a little bit of information about Urbana today, history of this amazing building, and then the story of WillWork itself, which is the co-working space. I started this project as just the architect, and I was working with Jamin Selman, who is the owner and developer of the project, for a third time. I've now also done his private residence, but at the time we had done two other adaptive reuse projects with historic tax credits, the Urbana Lofts downtown and the Urbana Brewing Company. So this was our third endeavor. Today I'm just going to talk through the origin story of this project. And I think it's really a lot about the identity of Urbana, of the building, and the people who came together as a team to really revitalize a fairly massive historic building, how that project came together, what the vision was, how we ultimately came up with the new purpose for the building, and then the vision versus the reality. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the technical side of things. I think it's, to me, very fascinating. So hopefully I won't bore anybody too much with that, but it is, these buildings are more than, I have a lot of pride as an architect being able to come back to my hometown and work on adaptive reuse preservation projects. But I also want to say that these projects are very complicated and but also worthwhile. So we'll go through some of that, and then making it work. I want to talk a little bit about who Haven is to me, because they have been incredible. And I'm just so excited to partner with them and have an infusion of fresh energy from some amazing people here in Urbana. And then just talking a little bit about the future vision of the project. This is a view actually that I photographed this morning. I know it looks a little blurry actually, so I apologize. But this is looking south on Main Street in Urbana. And you can see there on the left side of the street, this is the Willman building, and actually it's Skylight Lofts. So we'll talk a little bit about that. For those of you who don't know, Urbana is basically in the middle of a very rural county just west of Columbus called Champaign County. We're only about a 45-minute to an hour drive from Columbus, but you do need to take back roads to get to us. So here you have Columbus on the right, Dayton down here on the south west corner. We are just north of Springfield and then south of Bell Fountain. And what you see here on this map, these markers are actually existing co-working spaces at the time that I did the business report. As you know, because of Haven, you can see one of these over here is right there, Haven Collective. That's the western location on Riverside Drive. But Urbana literally within Champaign County has no co-working space. And I moved back here in the fall of 2021 after being away for 21 years. And it has become even in the last 2 to 3 years, it has become a very different town, and it's very exciting. But co-working is definitely something that I see as being important to the future of Urbana. I did these 3 shots here for you to see. It's a little difficult. This is Urbana, and our county is very agrarian. So Urbana is our county seat. It's a population just over 11,000, but we are outside of a few small villages. The only city, I believe, in Champaign County. This is a slightly larger view of Urbana. This is the entire city of Urbana, 11,000. And then here in the middle, if you can see the wider area, that's our downtown historic district. And this is blown up here on the right. So we have a town square, and our historic district is inclusive of that square, plus 2 blocks to the north and 2 blocks to the south. And the Willman project is right here in the historic core. So this is on North Main Street. And we are within walking distance very easily of downtown, where we have lots of restaurants, the brewery, etc. Just a little bit of history about the development of Urbana. Urbana was founded in 1805, and its downtown district is centered on Monument Square, which features the original 19th and 20th century commercial architecture, typical of Midwestern county seats. The downtown was developed primarily during the railroad boom era of 1850s and 1890s, when Urbana served as an important rail junction. This is the only map I've ever found where you can see the original naming of Urbana's streets. All of outside of the square to the north, east, west, and south, the streets were named after the nearest body of water. So headed south out of our square, it was Ohio Street, because you were headed to the Ohio River. To the east, Scioto Street, because of the Scioto River in Columbus. To the west, Miami. And then, of course, to the north, Erie. Today, those streets are called North Main, and as far back as 1885, we can see here on this fire insurance map that the original 3-story Willman building existed. We don't know exactly when the Willman building was built, because our original courthouse burned down. But we believe that it was built prior to 1885. And then we think the original building is actually, you can see here there are 5 architectural bays or structural bays of this building. And I have now worked on both of these projects. Today they are separate buildings. So down here in the picture on the right, you can see just from the paint colors, the delineation between them. The building on the north was built first, we believe. And then this building here on the south was built second. So this is kind of a twin sister. It was built sometime after that original north building. And then there's a 2-story building that is part of WillWork as well, and it's tucked in here, and that was built sometime after 1910. And I know this because of pouring through fire insurance maps and old newspaper articles. I was able to find some history from the early 1900s and discovered that there were cigar manufacturers in the building. Let's see what else. Murphy and Cole, that was a little bit of I think maybe a department store was here as well. In the 219 storefront, there was a pharmacy called Wellsheimer and Butler, located in the 217 storefront, which will actually be the front door of WillWork. And then the longest living business here was founded 87 years ago, and it was the Willman Furniture Company. So articles for almost 100 years about the Willman Furniture Company, which you can see here, the original signage. And I have some more pictures of that coming up here later. But one of the fascinating stories about the project was that if we look here, each bay was a different business. And as I read more and more into the history of the building, I discovered that, and I don't think it's on either of these maps, it's in a later Sanborn map, but at one point, an Italian shoe cobbler purchased one of the bay, or started a business in one of the bays of the building. he expanded and owned the entire thing prior to selling to the Willman Furniture Company. So an entrepreneur, this building has been full of entrepreneurs since the beginning. And then this is just a little picture from the square and a historic photo. You can see sort of the Model Ts here in the square, and we had trolleys as well. You can see the tracks there. And then these are some of the buildings that have already been repurposed and restored. I've worked on all of these on this corner with the exception of the yellow. So we have Urbana Lofts here, the 3-story building with the bay windows. And then the brewery is actually tucked in the corner with a rooftop deck. Then we have here on the corner the Pequeños Portuguese Tapas and Wine Bar. And all around the square, we are lucky to have an intact historic district. So going into the Willman Furniture Company, it closed finally because of the owner, the most recent owner, unfortunately, had some health issues and decided it was more important for him to retire. And he tried to sell the business, but unfortunately, a 7,500 square foot furniture store in a historic downtown with no parking available just isn't as viable for many entrepreneurs as you would hope. And so you can see what it looked like inside. We had dropped ceilings and carpet and furniture everywhere. Walls were furred out. There were 1970s mezzanines. There was panel siding. This was a very large staircase that was not original to the building, that was added so that you could get to the second floor display room. And there were I call them interventions because they were changes to the original structure, but there were interventions already which structurally eliminated brick walls on the ground floor and really opened the space up. But we didn't know what we would find when we got into it. So this was early in the process when the building was emptied out. Here we have some pictures showing some of the original features starting to show up. We're lucky here, we have an original elevator shaft. And then these are I love this picture with Jamin and Ben in the view so that you can see these are 6 foot tall plus men standing in front of the second floor windows from the inside. The ceilings are incredibly high, and if you can see here, the glass is all original. This is an original staircase leading from the second to the third floor, but we see here steel has been added to eliminate interior bearing walls. This was an original skylight opening. There were skylights on this building all the way through from roof to first floor, and those were all closed in. And then in the basement, we had interventions structurally. There's a pier here, but we have dirt floors, and as you can imagine, over the years, a lot of things were chopped up. So getting into the concept of repurposing the building, after searching for retail tenants, specifically furniture stores, the owner, Jamin, wasn't able to find anybody to carry the legacy of the Willman Furniture Company forward, which was the original idea. However, he did learn about a Jobs Ohio grant, and it's a Vibrant Communities grant that's given in Ohio in specific areas, small towns that are considered economically distressed. And what they would be looking for in order to provide grant funding is catalytic business. So he then shifted his attention to trying to find a way to bring Cohatch or some co-working community to Urbana, but they weren't really, they didn't have the bandwidth. Build in Bellefontaine was expanding to Marysville. Cohatch was opening 30 sites simultaneously at the time. And so Jamin and I sat down one day after we had talked to many other existing co-working spaces, and we just decided that maybe it made sense. He already has about 700 businesses. Maybe Sarah Mackert, the architect, would be able to take on this new business. I'm very passionate about Urbana, and I wanted to do something a new business here that felt really critical to making the community, to helping the community continue to grow and thrive. So this is a 3D picture of the building, of the project, and of the floor plan of the first floor. It is about 7,000 square feet. And what we decided to do was here you'll have sort of a central lounge and collaboration bar. We have storefront offices kind of infilling some of the space, some micro booths, some conference rooms, a very large flex conference room with desking. It'll have workshops, things like that. And then we are also dedicating this space here this is actually the north on the right side of the drawing, for pop-up restaurants. We have a pretty large food truck entrepreneur pool here in Urbana, some amazing people cooking. And so we want to have an opportunity to do pop-up restaurants for them. And so I basically worked on this floor plan, and we started working with, these are some more 3D views of that floor plan. We started working with Champaign Economic Partnership. I think Richard Ebert is on the call. He's the director. And we worked with Vibrant Communities, Sarah Spies, and a few others to get through. Basically, we had to do a pitch deck for the project, talk about the history, the proposed use, which was not only the co-working space on the first floor, but the upper 2 floors would be converted into loft living spaces for 9 lofts. We also had historic tax credits on the project. We worked with Roger Farrell, a consultant out of Columbus. We had worked with him on prior projects to pursue historic tax credits. So this all started in 2018, just the revitalization of downtown, and we had to prove that the business, the apartments, that all of that was feasible, that there was market demand, and sort of also represent the financial need for the project to happen. So the catalytic nature of Urbana's downtown was kind of borderline. We were already, because of the brewery and because of some of the revitalization that has started in 2018, there was a little bit of question as to whether or not Urbana could be considered in need of the grant funding, I guess, even though we were still designated as an economically challenged community. However, and I'm going to maybe skip forward and backward a little bit. This is a 2.9. I think the project estimate at the time that we were going for the grant was 2.9 million. And as you can imagine, those numbers always creep up, not down. So yeah, let's just go through this real quick. So this was part of our pitch to the Jobs Ohio Vibrant Communities program. So a $3 million project in Urbana, Ohio, would never happen without the support of grant programs like this. And so what we were able to do was make an ask of $1 million from the Vibrant Communities program with a tax credit value. And there's a process to getting tax credits, which typically occurs after the project is complete. So the developer has to fund that. You can see that number, 1.03 or $1.04 million has to be funded by the owner or developer prior to the receipt of the tax credit. And then the owner, Jamin, was also able to pursue some additional tax exemption through the Ohio Port Authority for some savings there. We looked at a solar tax credit. We ended up not going forward with that. There was quite a bit of complexity to put solar panels on the roof of the building, just structurally alone. And so this was the breakdown of how the project was able to work. So this $824,000 balance was what needed to be financed by a local bank. And I can tell you that in spite of Jamin's success doing projects very similar projects in Urbana, and he's been, doing more and more and more, and it's been incredible to watch. This was a very hard project to finance. I think that I think he went through 3 or 4 local banks before they finally financed this project and moved it forward. So, and then the city of Urbana was incredibly helpful and helped us work out a property tax abatement for 15 years on the improved value of the project. So that's kind of a little bit of the reality of how this project got off the ground. If not for these grants and the tax credits, this project could not be accomplished. So getting back to the co-working space and the architectural design, once we knew that the financing was going to work out, I put my architecture hat back on for a while and basically did the full design for the project, the construction drawings, worked with structural engineers and my MEP engineers to completely renovate the building. We did a existing building code review on this project. Some of you may be familiar with this, but if when you work in existing buildings, you're able to look at life safety as a scorecard instead of conforming to current code for, fire suppression, fire alarm system, all of the things that we're required to do today with fire separations, et cetera. We are able to basically evaluate the building and make sure that it is safe according to a specific scoring criteria. And so this scoring criteria is pretty complex, but ultimately it allowed us to save historic doors and transoms and various things. But the building will be fully suppressed. It will have a fire alarm system with just all of the bells and whistles you can imagine. And these are, just examples of the technical documents that we create in the process of reviewing a project for life safety. And then what a construction floor plan, like the first floor, looks like. So lots of interior wall type details, coded notes, et cetera, et cetera. Working through restoration of the exterior. You can see in these images and from images you may have seen before that the original storefront on the Main Street facade had been altered significantly, reduced in height, and changed quite a bit in the 1950s. So part of this restoration process, because of the historic tax credits, required that we restore what would have been more original to the building. So we studied historic images really closely, and we're putting back in full height storefront and 5 entrances, a new entrance for every single original historic bay. And these are some renderings of what the space will look like when it's finished. This would be the main here on the left. When you walk in to the main entry, there would be a lounge area and a collaboration bar, which is a kitchenette. This would be a little bit more open for gatherings. There's a community manager here on the left, and we have some storage and display areas here on the right. This is in the southernmost bay where we have storefront offices on each side and some boothing, like little micro booths down the middle. A little rendering here of what it will look like from the street looking in at one of our conference spaces. And then over here on the right, similar, this is on the street, out at the street in the slightly north area. A little breakout space from the largest meeting room on the north, and just some additional renderings here. There will be a rooftop deck as well. So our co-working space has access to the elevator, and that will go up to the 3rd floor of the 3-story building and then exit through a door at that level onto a rooftop deck. And we'll have Wi-Fi available up there, so it will have that outdoor space. This is just a little bit more about my business study that I had to provide for the feasibility report, looking at the market demand. So we had a private jobs analysis done on Champaign. Well, this is actually from a report. This is from the 2019 U.S. Census, actually. So you can see this is just a map of private jobs in Champaign County, and Urbana, obviously, there is the hub. But the total count for jobs in Ohio, or in this county, is 8,904. And you can see here, this is an inflow and outflow analysis that we looked at. It shows that 5,296, which is almost 60% of all jobs, for individuals employed in Champaign County, those individuals live outside the county, whereas 10,460 individuals living in Champaign County are employed outside. So we have 10,460 people leaving our county to work, and we have 5,296 people entering our county to work. And that's for a job count of 8,904. So it's somewhat telling. You can see here there's a circle in the middle that says that we actually have 3,900 or 3,608 people who live here and work here. So it's a very confusing map as to why economically so many people are, I guess, traveling in and out of the county for work. But what I realized is this co-working space needs to capture at most 50 people, 60 people out of 10,460 who are leaving our county to work. And that was a really important graphic to me when I was doing the analysis. And then, like I said, some of these maps showing new business startup support and existing co-working spaces, leaving Urbana as an island. Construction started in the fall of 2020, no, in the summer of 2024. Yeah, sorry. And it will be, gosh, maybe even earlier than that. I'm sorry, I can't remember. It will be the lofts, the second and third floor will be finished in April, and the co-working space will be finished in June or July. These are just some fun pictures. We salvaged the original elevator car here, and you can see my son Calvin playing in it. And this is the top of the third floor, the new fire-rated staircase. I'm sorry, it's the original historic staircase with a new fire-rated enclosure at the top. We uncovered a lot of original details, like the tin ceilings that were hidden above the dropped acoustical tile ceilings. So those will be exposed and restored in the main spaces. And you can see that here. This is the first floor. Framing going in, ceilings are temporarily removed for plumbing to be worked on, coming down from the apartments above. And just some beautiful lights and beautiful spaces, and so much fun to see this historic building coming back to life. This was, I call this elevator day. We're getting a new elevator installed in the original shaft. And this is the father and son team that came out to drill the hydraulic hole down in the pit. I think it's about 49 feet deep. And so this was their drill equipment that they brought into the very, very tight alley. And then you can see the piston here driving down into the ground below the building. And apparently, I wasn't there, but apparently they were yelling at each other quite a bit. And these are some more photos just of the first floor. We took down the original storefront and kind of protected the building with this temporary structure here. You can see lofts going. This is a loft with the kitchen going in. Windows, the original windows were all removed and have been restored. Brick has been tuck pointed. New roof has been put on. Electrical, mechanical, plumbing has all been added to the building, and interior storefront is starting to go in. I wish I had about 100 more pictures to share with you today, but there's so many and there's so much to say, and I thought I better stop at some point for questions.
No questions? I'm shocked. That was a lot of great information, Sarah. I know that you've shared with us like how energized the community seems to be in Urbana and around the county, and I can see why this
Yeah.
is going to be inspirational. I think for the entire area.
Yeah, it's obvious how much you care about the history of the building, and I just think it's going to be even more special because of all of the details you care about
Yeah.
and have worked hard to preserve. It does look like we had a question from Matt Yerkes, which I think Sarah, Danielle, myself, any of us could answer.
You want to go ahead?
Sure. So, as you can tell from this presentation, we have the expertise of um, architecture and design through Sarah. She has a very strong vision for how she wants the community to run and the programming, and that is well set. Then you think about running the day to day and the technology and the billing and all the back end process and procedure and technology that we've already established here at Haven. So we're very excited to be able to bolt that on to Sarah's vision. We have a very similar, I think, approach to how to manage a community and what the brand standards are. So it was a really nice opportunity to expand on what we're already doing here at Haven to pull another community into ours for the benefit of all. I joke all the time that it's kind of meta. It's like co-working within co-working, we're taking another co-working space, bringing it into our ecosystem for the benefit of all of our community. I don't know if anyone would like to add to that.
Well, yeah, I kind of, and I apologize to everybody watching. I already told Danielle and Melissa and Jenna that I'm more used to talking about architecture than about co-working, but I should go back and talk about how we met each other just for a minute and why that just seemed like the perfect partnership for me and hopefully also for Haven. So I did not intend to stop being an architect when I offered to open this business. And my architecture firm has grown and is doing some things that I'm really passionate about continuing. So I knew that starting a new business like co-working, to me, it was going to be more than the co-working space. I always envisioned it as also a hybrid economic incubator. And I'm really passionate about that piece of it. My original business plan talked about some pretty aggressive ideas in not only just making sure we were a one-stop shop for new business startups, but potentially recycling any profit that I made back into sort of like an angel investment option for basically I want to have not only program. I think the programming that Melissa was talking about was my original vision would be monthly deep dives into new business typologies, bringing in expert speakers, having lunch and learns, but like with workshops and bringing in the Small Business Development Corporation and Champaign Economic Partnership and Farmers and Merchant State Bank, just we have such a beautiful network of people who are here to help small businesses start and thrive. And so along with that vision, I also wanted to do things like require that any startup business move out in 5 years because Urbana actually still has a lot of empty space with nothing but potential. And if we encourage new businesses to, I think co-working is a little bit, it's exciting because you can have your beautiful your office, your private office, but access to all of these amenities and all of these people that are right there at your fingertips. But it's also important to go out and start to fill your community and change your community. And that's something you can do in Urbana. If you want to move the needle here, if you want to be integral in some way, whether that's through your business or just because you're a part of our downtown, you can do that. And so I was really passionate about that. But as I was talking to a mutual friend about it who had just started her second business, she said, I need to introduce you to somebody. And she got Mel and I on a phone call. And I had no idea what I was talking to Mel about. I thought she was going to give me pointers about opening a co-work space. And then finally, it took us a while, but finally it was like, oh no, like Mel could actually partner with you and we could find a way to make it a sister site or, a boutique site for Haven Collective so that I don't have to start from scratch. Then we got to know each other and everything just fit so well, so beautifully. So that's a little bit more information than you asked for, maybe, but.
Well, I think we all have our angles of why this is so exciting, but I'll just say, the opportunity to bridge what we're doing here in our Columbus locations to Urbana and give our members another place they can go work and really another community that they can tap into. We have found great support in even our virtual events here. So being able to use your connections and expertise and the people who are going to get excited in Urbana and pair them with the folks here at our downtown and Upper Arlington locations. I just think it's for the benefit of everyone. So made a lot of sense.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. If no one has any additional questions, I guess we'll wrap it up early. I mean, Sarah, this was amazing. Thank you so very, very much. I love seeing the progress, and so we'll keep everyone updated on what's happening at Urbana. We expect this to be open this summer, so definitely stay tuned. We're going to start doing hard hat tours there in some of these second Saturday events that are already being held in Urbana. It's like right outside their front door. So we'll be giving people sneak peeks, some previews, and there'll definitely be some foundational pricing for people who join early. So lots of things still to come, lots of things to be announced. So keep following along. Jenna just popped into the chat to share the link. This is where you can sign up for a newsletter that's going to keep you posted about all things WillWork in Urbana. And it will be focused there and also letting everyone know what support services are going to come with membership in Urbana because not everyone knows what Haven's about and what we already offer. So this will get everyone up to date and know what they're walking into on day one.